Oh, well, hello there, you beautiful, wonderful, miraculous human being, and welcome to your yoga practice. I'm Andrea Dawn, and today we're going to do a yoga practice for our hips and our hamstrings. So without further ado, let's get started. You don't need anything but you and your mat. Some props are always helpful, so I like to have some cushions around, but not necessary. And we're going to start lying on our backs. So you'll come down onto your back in Supta Baddha Konasana, or reclined bound angle pose. So you'll bring the soles of your feet together and the knees out wide. And then you can arrange the distance between your heels and your sits bones so that you get enough feeling. And as you do that, you can place one hand on your belly, one hand on your chest. I'm going to sing an Om for you. You're welcome to join me, but this is a really nice way to arrive and in this time set an intention for your practice. And remember that intention is like your filter. It's a magnet. So it acts as a magnet when the internal dialogue wanders, it pulls you back. It acts as a filter because there's so much external stimuli that we get to filter everything that comes in through this intention that we set. If you're choosing to Om with me, take an inhale. Bring a smile to your lips. Notice if that smile changes the way that you're experiencing things. I often feel it's one of our most powerful tools that we have, is we can change and experience just by the way that we have our lips positioned. And then we'll come into the fetal position left side. So you can close the right knee on top of the left, roll onto your left side body. Use the right hand to press up and place the left hand underneath the ear for support. And then we'll start some bicycles with the right leg. So you'll extend the right leg up high, keep the leg straight, lower it down, bend the knee, draw the heel in, and just begin your bicycles here. Initiate your movement with your breath. Your breath is the leader, your body follows. And then let's move in the opposite direction. And then the next time the leg is up, keep the leg up. Just give your ankle a few circles, both directions. Lower the leg down, and then we'll draw the knee in towards the chest and then press the knee away from you. Good, and then from there, set the right knee back down on top of the left, roll back onto your back, back into your Supta Baddha Konasana. And we'll simply repeat that on the other side. So the left knee will close on top of the right as you roll onto the right side body. Use your left hand to press up, right hand underneath the ear. Start your bicycles with your left leg. And then in the other direction. So your practice is as interesting as you make it. So you can always do things like change the breath, flex the foot, point the foot, and keep your awareness and your attention in your body. Next time the leg is up, keep it up. Give your ankles a few circles. Other direction. Good, then draw the knee in towards the chest and press the leg away. So we're just getting started with some movement. I'm really sore. So oftentimes before I take some hold that requires stillness, it's helpful to move a bit to lubricate the joints. Left knee back on top of right. Roll back into your Supta Baddha Konasana. Close the legs. Draw the knees into the chest. Give yourself a nice big squeeze. And then we'll come up to all fours. So however you want to get there, it might be using some momentum or just rolling off onto one side and pressing yourself up. And we'll come up to all fours. And from all fours, we'll find our lizard pose. So start by extending the right leg long and then step the right foot outside of the right hand. So my right knee is outside of my right hip and walk the left knee back. Now from here, this might be plenty of feeling. Or if it's not, so it's always establishing that point of how much is enough, you can come onto your forearms. You can come all the way down onto your belly. You can come onto the outer blade edge of the right foot and let the right knee fall a little bit more out towards the right. Your gaze or your drishti is very important. So it can be at an unmoving spot on the floor. If we look around, our tendency is for the thoughts to wander, right? Because there's a lot of external stimulus happening. So we can also close our eyes and fixate our gaze at the third or the first eye in between the eyebrows. So for our practice, we get to develop the skill of one-pointed focus. In the 8 limbs of yoga, that's called dharana. And once we establish that, then we can move into dhyana, which is known as meditation. Good, then we'll come back to all fours. Let's just take a round of cat-cow to even out. So we'll inhale, tilt the tail up, drop the belly, look up. Bring your lower jaw over your upper jaw. And then point the tail down, lift the belly button towards the spine, the chest down towards the pubic bone, let the head fall. Back to neutral spine and left side. Inhale to lift the left leg. Exhale to step the left foot outside of the left hand. So as we hold our postures, there's different ways you can go about being in the posture. So the first might be just acknowledging where you're feeling sensation and then putting your awareness and your intention and your breath into that space. Another might be to acknowledge where else you're feeling sensation. So it could be like, yes, I'm feeling it in my hip, but I'm also feeling some in my right shoulder. And is that necessary? And so is it possible for me to redistribute my energy in a way that makes it a more balanced posture, a more helpful posture? So we can think about it like we are just taking a flashlight and we're shining it around into all the dark spaces. And we get to notice our tendencies or the ways we do things that are unconscious. So we bring our consciousness to them and then decide, is it helpful or not? So we can release the liking and the disliking and replace it with helpful or not helpful. Improving the quality or not improving the quality. All right, then we're going to come back to all fours. Once again, we'll inhale to extend the right leg. This time we're going to set the right knee down behind the left and spread the feet wide. And then walk yourself back to sit in between your spread feet. So we're coming into cow face legs, right? So the knees are crossed and stacked, and I'm sitting in between my feet. So it's kind of like the feet are the cow ears. Now, if this is just way too much for you, you can extend the right leg long, and you'll just keep the left knee stacked on top of the right. Then depending on you, this might be plenty of feeling, and you might sit, close the eyes, relax. It might not be quite enough feeling or sensation. So you can start to walk the hands forward. Think of a tilting at the hips, so you're keeping the spine pretty neutral. And the crown of the head so that it's in a straight line with the tail. So you might notice a tendency to drop the head a lot. So we want to think about keeping a nice long spine. You can create more space between the ears and the shoulders by drawing the armpits or the lats down towards your hips. And then we'll come on up from that, come forward, back to all fours, unravel the legs. And we'll repeat that on the other side. So this time you'll extend the left leg long. Left knee comes behind right. Spread the feet apart, walk the hands back, sit in between the heels. Acknowledge if this is plenty of sensation. If it's too much, you can extend the left leg out long. Try to get your sits bones down, and then you might be sitting, holding right here, or tilting the hips, walking the hands forward, but keeping a nice neutral spine. And then come on up from there. Unravel the legs, open them wide, and we'll come to a wide-legged seated position. So this might be a place where you prop yourself. So you could bring a cushion underneath your bum where you're kind of tilting off of the cushion, right? And then open your legs an amount that is between feeling too much and not feeling enough, right? So it's kind of like finding that Goldilocks position. And then flex your feet. Now from here, we're going to lean towards the right. So come on over towards the right. You can place the right hand on top of the right leg or behind and stretch the left arm overhead. Maybe you bend the left elbow and place the hand behind the back and turn the heart and chest up towards the sky. And then we'll do that exact same thing other side. So you'll come back through center, lean towards the left. Left hand can be on the left leg or behind. Reach the right arm overhead. Maybe it stays there, or you bend the elbow and place the right hand behind the back. And then we'll come on back through center, cross the legs, come forward, and we'll just walk the hands back to stand onto the knees. Place the hands on the hips, step the right foot forward. Place the hands down to frame out the foot. Tuck the left toes, lift the back leg. Heel toe this right foot so it's a little bit more over towards the right, so it's crossing the midline. And then walk your hands over towards the right. Push through the big toe ball mound of the right foot. Press the left heel back. Good. And then come back to frame out the foot. Set the left knee down. Step the right knee back. Walk the hands back. Bring the hands to the hips. We'll do a few hip circles here. Other direction. Good. Now step the left foot forward. Take the hands down, frame out the foot. Heel toe this left foot over towards the midline, maybe even across the midline. Then tuck the right toes, lift the right leg. Start to straighten both legs. Push through the big toe ball mound of the left foot and walk the hands over towards the left. Bring your awareness back to the intention that you set, your magnet, your filter. This is the way that we begin to train our minds so that we use the mind as a tool rather than the mind using us, right? And then we succumb to all its habitual patterns, which usually results in addictive behavior or a feeling of unsettledness, a feeling of not enough, right? Because we're being guided by a tool versus the core of our being, of who we really are. All right, walk the hands back, drop the right knee, step the left knee back, sit back onto your heels, fall off onto one side, and we're gonna go into one final posture. So yogi's choice, whether this is a pigeon pose or a fire log pose. So I'll demo pigeon first and then fire log. So if you have pretty open hips, you might wait for fire log. If your hips are pretty tight, you might come into pigeon pose. So for our pigeon pose, we'll start in that all fours position and then just bring the right knee to the outside of the right hand. Now, technically, we bring the shins so it's parallel to the front of that. For most of us, that's not helpful. And it's better to bring the right heel towards the left hip. So I have my leg on a diagonal and then walk the left leg back. So I'm not falling off onto the right hip, but my hip stays square. You can even rest your left hip flexor down on the right heel. You can get a little hip flexor massage there. If it's not enough, you can bring the shin more parallel to the front of the mat and work there, right? And then it's a matter of how far you come down onto forearms or extending the arms all the way. Another option is if you're pretty open, I also really like to rest my ear down and take the arms back behind me. So just depending on you. So we'll start pigeon right side. If you're interested in fire log pose, what we're gonna do is bring the left shin, it can be parallel to any side of the mat, right? So we're creating the bottom log. Now the right leg is gonna go on top, okay? So the right heel is gonna hang off the left knee and I'm stacking my legs like they're fire logs. So not Indian style, right? I'm keeping the heel hanging off of the knee. This right knee is over the left heel. Now you'll notice I have space here. So I'm pretty open in the hips. It might be okay for me to put some pressure on that and come forward. But that's to be very mindful of. If you have space and it feels like, ooh, not too much more, you might place a prop underneath that space to hold that. It might be okay to come forward, or not, just depending on you. If you're in fire log pose, keep your feet flexed. When we hold postures, it's a really great place to observe the tendencies of your mind. When we talk about ourselves in terms of layers, it's called koshas. So we're composed of 5 koshas. And when we recognize the mental body, where all of the thoughts are happening, that's called our manamaya kosha. Manas means mind, which is why we often use things like mantras as mind protection. Our mind is a very powerful place, but it's so important that we're in charge. And that recognition of who is we, who is I, the big I, the uppercase I, same as Roman numeral 1, versus believing I am my job, I am my gender, I am my relationship. So when I recognize myself as the one, part of one, whole, I see myself as a ray of the sun, as the divine, and that is who I want directing my life. All right, we're going to switch sides. So if you are in pigeon, right, and the right leg is forward, you can just fall off onto the right side, sweep the left leg around, and switch sides. If you're in fire log pose, this time the right leg is going to be on the bottom, and you'll stack the left leg as the second log. Same thing, the left heel is hanging off of the right knee. The left knee is over the right heel. And you might prop that. And for me, when I keep the feet flexed, it helps protect the knees. If you're interested in the koshas, of which I was just talking about, I also have philosophy videos that I have started to separate into playlists so you can learn all about the different philosophies in just short little videos, 5 to 7 minutes. And that study of philosophy is the same as study of ourself. And in our limbs of yoga, it's in one of the limbs called the niyamas, and it's called svadhyaya, or self-study, and that is study of spiritual text, which helps us learn about ourselves. All right, if you're in pigeon, you'll just fall off onto the left, sweep the right leg around. If you're in fire log, remove any props that you might be using. And we're going to come back on down to our backs for one final posture. Come down onto your back, hug your knees into your chest, and we'll take it into happy baby. So for happy baby, take your hands to your knees, spread your knees apart. Take your arms to the insides of the legs. And you can hold on to the ankles or to the feet or to the outer blade edges of the feet. And right here, just notice if your tail's starting to lift up, you might just stay right here, spreading your knees wide. If your tail's grounded down, then maybe you start to lift so the soles of the feet are parallel to the ceiling and you're drawing your knees and thighs down next to the sides of your body. It might be helpful to stay right here and hold stillness in your happy baby. it might be helpful to rock your happy baby. Or if you want to get deeper into the hamstrings, you might extend one leg and then extend the other. And then we'll let all of that go. Extend the legs up high. Give your legs a good shake out. Maybe place your hands on your legs and your hips. Give them some love. And into our final rest, our Shavasana, our corpse pose, where you can spread the legs about mats with distance, feet splayed out to the side, arms 6 inches off the sides of the body, palms face up. And this is a place where we get to recognize that we are going to die. And bringing that to the forefront of our lives every single day can be a reminder to live more deeply, more passionately, more curiously. But right here, right now, there's no agenda, there's no effort. There's just absorption and integration. Stay here for as long as serves you. It is always a blessing, an honor, and a privilege to share yoga with you. My heart sees and feels and smiles to yours. Namaste, yogis. Sorry, I'm filming. What? What?
The counter. I thought I closed the door, but I knew I left. I really thought I closed the door because
It might have been me. I came out here.
on the counter and I